honestly, it wasn't what I wanted to do. When I went to the academy, I wanted to fly. And they said, sorry,
Where did you went to the Air Force Academy?
I did, sir. Yes. Thinking I would fly. That's the only thing you do, right? You want to fly jets and go fast and that lifestyle. And they went, nice try. You have no depth perception. So, like every good officer, they gave me a gun and said, shoot straight, and we don't care where the target is, how far in front of you. So, went into OSI, worked CRIM, and then got the opportunity to come to DC and work counterterrorism, which I did up until 2011. Spent most of my career, blonde hair, blue eyes in the Middle East, because that's where you put people like me. I was like, there's terrorists in London and Paris. I could go undercover there, but nope. Spent most of my career in the Middle East, and then spent a lot of time in Gitmo, sir.
We're in the Middle East because I'm retired from Turner. We've been building there since the 80s.
Afghanistan, Kuwait, mostly Kuwait. I focused on the money aspect of 9/11, where the money funneled through what
Okay.
non-NGOs that came through, and then up and out, up through Iraq, sir. Um, 2011, I had the opportunity to go work on the Hill Senate Select Committee of Intelligence, and turned it down. Had no desire to go work on the Hill and work 15 hours. I had two young children. I was recently divorced and separated, and just had no desire to work 15 hours in the bureaucracy of the government. And so really thought about law school, and then had a really horrible experience with my first real estate transaction. And I feel like I'm fairly intelligent. I went to the academy, I did counterterrorism, I have all those accolades, and I couldn't tell you about a purchase I had made, a large purchase. And I felt like somebody had taken advantage of me. And I really never wanted anyone else to feel that way. And I know it's a little cliche-ish, but you made a comment earlier that I'd like to point on. You said there's very different career fields. And I actually think the skill sets that you learn as a military officer, as an enlisted troop, whatever it is, the skill sets that you learn in the military. And I'm a Midwest girl. I was born and raised in the Midwest, right? Your handshake is your bond. You look
Yep.
somebody in the eye, you say
Yep.
you're going to do something, you do it. That's how I was raised. Um, and I felt like the skill sets that I had gained and learned and cultivated from my childhood as being an officer really lent itself to real estate. It does. I think they're not that far apart, actually, sir. I think you tell people what you're going to do, you do the right thing, you have empathy, you're helping people transition. It's not a big leap. In fact, it's actually a very small one. You do. I tell people all the time, I used to interrogate terrorists. I can negotiate with other realtors. It's not a problem. It's pretty easy, in fact. So I got into real estate in 2011, and in 2016, I was doing over 70 transactions on my own. And my husband looked at me and said, "Hey, our kids don't see you anymore. Our family doesn't see you anymore, and something has to give." And so I said, "I'm out. I don't need to work." But my broker at the time said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a lot. We'd like you to continue to do what you're doing." And so I started to build a team. And I'm currently now growing my team again. And but we're at 7 people, and we're doing quite well. What I'm most proud about, Bob, is that about 65 to 70% of our business is veteran focused. It is our niche. It's what we
Great.
focus on here in Maryland, Virginia, DC. It's those, let's be honest, right? They're not the highest price points. It's rare you're going to get somebody buying a multi-million dollar house
Right.
in the military, active duty. But I got to tell you, it's our love. I will work with veterans all day long. It's just my love. It's my niche. It's what our team is known for. And it's probably the thing I'm most proud about is how many veterans we serve. Because I was making six figures and
Yep.
essentially
Yep.
threw it away. But I also believed in myself, and I felt that this was something that I could do and I could do well and I could be successful at it. I was a single mom. I had two young kids under the age of 4. I don't, I understand that somebody may have looked back on me and said, I mean, I had a lot of people go, "Are you crazy? Where are you going to get an income?" And I went, "I'm going to work hard." And um, I've never taken anything for granted. And again, I think it's my Midwest roots, Bob. I will outwork anyone. I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I will shut my mouth and I will listen with the 2 ears God gave me, and I will learn from those that are better. I've always put myself in rooms where I was not the smartest person. And it's proof today. I am clearly not the smartest person sitting on this call, but I'm excited to join and learn from others because I think that's how we become better people. And I dug in. I went to work for a small company that I felt I could learn from the broker and outgrew that business and then joined another firm that would help me grow my business. Well, everybody is an individual contractor, so I worked for a small firm, not as a company. I didn't have my own company at the time. It wasn't until 2016 that I started my own company underneath Century 21 in the suburbs in Virginia. In Virginia, Maryland, DC is another animal into of itself, as you know.
Yep.
I have team members that are licensed there. I am not. I firmly believe that if you cannot be an expert, then you should not try to be. And so I would refer that business out all day long until finally I brought in a couple of agents that are licensed. And so whenever I have a DC deal, I pass it to my team. I don't know DC. I own in DC. I don't know DC well enough to guide somebody with a large purchase. I think as military folks, and I think a lot of us probably sitting on this call are or have some affiliation, there's a trust, right? If Bob, you say to Patricia or Tyrone, hey, I've got this great person that I'm going to refer you to, there's no questions asked. They trust you, Bob, and therefore they're gonna trust me. And that's inherent, I think, with a lot of military folks. I think you keep people's trust, as we all know, by keeping your word and being the first person to raise your hand, as we do in the military. When you make a mistake, you take responsibility and actions. And so I'm not infallible. I make mistakes, and I'm the first person to say, that was me. I screwed up. How do I make it right? Versus passing the buck to somebody else. I'm also the first person when somebody asks me a question to say, I don't know, but let me find out. We'll learn together. And I think that builds trust. Having somebody who constantly knows or states that they know is not necessarily a trusting factor, but somebody who's okay and confident in themselves to say, I don't know, but let's find out together. Or, hey, we can do this. That builds I think that's more powerful and impactful. You have to be prepared to hear no and be okay with no and not take it personally. Um, I, I, I'll just give you guys a quick general thing. I think to date, I think I have over close to 200 transactions. My team does right now on the books for 2025, and 2025 is a slow year. A lot of that is through me in the sense that I generate the business and then I pass it to my team members. My definition of success right now is helping my team grow. And that's what I want. My goal for 2026 is to help my team get to their goals and help grow. And so I look inward and go, where can I build pillars of business, Patricia? Where can I build contacts? Where can I grow my business so I can help them grow theirs through my referrals and helping them? In the very beginning, it was a lot of picking up the phone and letting people know that I was new to real estate and I understood that there was a curve, and a lot of people don't want to hear, oh, she's new, I don't want to use her, God forbid, right? But it was that power of saying, hey, I'm new, but I've partnered with somebody who's been in the business for 25 years. I would love to earn your business, right? I'm looking to grow if there's anything. So it was a lot of, in the beginning it was rentals and then it was just staying in touch with people. My husband laughs at me. I can still tell from 8 years ago, Patricia, if you bought a house 8 years ago, I could probably still tell you that there was an ugly purple bathroom. And I'll be like, God, did you ever paint that bathroom? Like that was horrendous. Or did you ever, like, I have a knack for it. I can't remember what I had for breakfast 3 days ago, but I can remember people's homes and dogs and kids. And I think it's just, honestly, it's closing this and listening and hearing what's important for people and being able to guide them. And it was very quickly able to ramp up. But in the very beginning, it was letting people know I was in the business and then not turning anything down. Absolutely, I'll show you this property. Absolutely. Um, I think you could probably ask anybody on my team today. I will outwork every single one of them. I'm the person that's on the computer at midnight working. I'm up at 6 in the morning. I mean, there is no secret to real estate. It's not a hard job. It's listening, it's having empathy, it's understanding what's important for people, and showing up on time and doing the right things and having good systems and just frankly outworking. Um, I work hard. I had savings.
Okay,
That I did go through a lot. I don't think I bought anything new for maybe 2 years.
okay.
Honestly, I think I set it aside, and I put money in myself. I believed in myself, and so instead of buying a new outfit, I would invest that in some sort of marketing or whatever I needed to do to get myself out there.
If you
Anybody who knows me knows I love coffee. I spent a lot of time buying coffees for a lot of people, a lot of lenders. Back to your point, Patricia, I bought a lot of coffees for people that had been in the business for 30 years and I wanted to learn from them. I did the same thing with lenders. There were a few lenders that were very reputable, and I asked if I could buy them lunch or a cup of coffee and learn from them. I knew military was a good niche, so I spoke to a lot of lenders about the VA military process. What does that look like? What are the downfalls? What are the pros? How does that look? I wanted to understand the conventional loan. What's an FHA loan? What's a 203K loan? I wanted to be able to have enough knowledge to be able to guide my client, but also stop and say, listen, this is outside of my arena. Let me connect you with the lender who's going to educate you. And so in the beginning, it was learning a lot about it. And then through the years, Bob, it's been a lot of trial and error. Just like, as you said, there's a lot of bad realtors, there's a lot of bad people
Yep.
in this business that you don't want to cross paths with again. My goal is to successfully help people buy or sell real estate. And the best compliment that I receive is when I get referrals and continue to receive referrals for doing a job well done. Early on, there was a realtor who I had bought a cup of coffee with and asked if she had a good accountant who'd be able to do books and payroll and whatnot. And she referred me to him early on, and I've worked with him ever since. There's great, spreadsheets and things for you to keep track. I would say early on, it's reading books and just absorbing as much as you can from folks that have been in the business that you look to.
Hmm.
Just what I spent a lot of my first year doing is just absorbing and learning. And I think probably, Bob, to your point, I wasn't going to make a lot of money, and I knew that. So my goal was to put myself in a position that second and third year where I had the knowledge base um, to start growing exponentially in my business. And now my mind frame is I have this business. Unlike other careers, I don't get once I leave real estate, it's done. My money's done, right? So there's no pension out of real estate. And what I need to do is set myself up. What's the end game for this? And what does this look like? So, what's my exit strategy out of real estate? And so, what I have is a database, and I have connections, and I have this fear of people that rely on me. And so, what does that look like? And how do I position myself so when I'm ready to phase out, I've got it. How do I sell what I have? And so that's what I'm working on right now and putting together a business that when the time comes that I want to slow down and be with my husband and when the kids are out of the house, um, what do I have that's sellable?